We're in the lovely little town of Shifnal, and this very old, very traditional property you see behind me has a very modern extension on already. We're going to be matching it on the other side and linking the two with a glass walk-through. We're at groundwork stage at the moment. Let's go and see how they're getting on. So here we have the main entrance and the street view that you can see from the front here. This is the existing extension. We're producing a glass link that's going to link the existing extension to the new extension that we're building currently. And then we've got some interesting things to tell you about this very old sort of coach house workshop area at the front. So what you can see behind me is a very old structure, possibly a woodworking workshop or something like that. Looks about 100, 150 years old. And it's ready to fall. It's very dilapidated. So if we're not careful, you know, there's parts of the structure are going to start coming away. So what we've done is, on behalf of our clients, we've got the local authority, the planning officer, conservation officer for the area, and building control, all to approve our structural engineer and architect's plans to deconstruct it, reclaim the materials, and reinstate it using those same historical materials with the same brick details and so on and so forth. So today what we're doing is we're getting the dilapidation photos and the reinstatement photos, so we've got a blueprint for reconstructing this structure. So if you see here, you've got bricks on end, because this is a 9-inch wall. Today we're required to build cavity insulated walls. It's a different building specification, but we are going to be required to rebuild this as a solid 9-inch wall, much like this one. So the bond of the brickwork is different. You've got a little half brick sill here that we don't do that sort of thing anymore, but we've got to reconstruct this. You know, the arched header, that's slightly more usual, but again, we need to record all of these things. So we're going to be taking photos of all of the details, and that will go into a report and give our guys the blueprint to rebuild. So we've got everything we need for the day. We've got our photos, we've got our information. The lads are getting on with building the new extension. The structure's going up. Great progress is being made. In the meantime, while the report's being generated, we're going to go back to the office, talk to David, our interior designer, about some of the interior design layouts. So just tell us a little bit about the design itself for this project.
The client really wanted to have a very modern German kitchen. This is actually a project with 2 kitchens in one. So you will have an annex,
okay,
which is a separate part of the building. And then the main kitchen is the kitchen that they are upgrading from existing one, which basically is the double size, functionality, plenty of storage, an island, which they don't have at the moment, and a completely new space for the dining / entertainment area. So that's our new project. Really, the steps are: get your architectural plans first, scale it up or down, pull your walls, and then from the functional point of view, position all the elements that their client requires or asks for, and only then you start developing the little detail, the design element.
Yeah.
So you start always from the functionality, and then you go into the design part.
Yeah. Welcome back to our lovely project in Shifnal. As mentioned, the conservation officer and the planning officer have worked with us to approve us deconstructing this old workshop. As you can see, the bricklayers have reinstated it using the same old materials and the same brick bonds which were photographed before and used to reinstate it, and they've done a fantastic job. It looks absolutely amazing. You can see some of the detail behind me of the new area. Come today just for a standard progress update. We're gonna have a look around and see how they've got on. So as you can see, there's lots of details here to take a look at. We've got the sub-ground level engineering brickwork coming up in these lovely blues. We'll have a couple of course of that above ground, I think, which will be a nice little visual detail. This block work is going to be a rendered finish, and then we've got a 170mm full fill cavity, which is going to achieve some pretty impressive U values. So this space is the main section of new construction. For context, that wall directly behind me is the back of the garage that we can bring up on plans on screen now. We've got a steel box section on either side there that's running up off the concrete pads below, and they'll meet, we'll go up in a second and have a look, but that should be coming to an apex steel that's going to give us our ridge line for the roof. So here we are, we've come up the scaffold and we're above the room that we were in before, and as you can see there's a large extent of steel here, lots of connection details. The reason that there's a steel wall plate underneath the timber wall plate is because we've gone with a traditional cut roof rather than a truss, so there's no truss coming across, so that steel has to take those loads. And the other thing to know about this is that the plans for the layouts up here, which involve bathrooms and different things, didn't work because of the vaulted ceiling doesn't give us the head height for where the shower position and where certain doors were going. So that's why David is redoing the layouts. He's actually asked us for a dimension from downstairs because we told him that we were coming up here, so we're going to go and get that now. Right, and Max is going to give Amy an orientation of the site, and then we'll talk about some of the details of the project.
We've done all our paperwork, so we can now go on to site.
Let's do it.
Cool.
So, welcome to our project.
Yep.
Just before we get inside, I just want to show this courtyard area because they're actually going to be able to bring a car through here, and we're redoing this all out nice when obviously the scaffold's gone. That is the clad, that wall is where the cladding's going.
Lovely.
I'll show you inside, so we'll show you that inside. This is a parking space.
Cool.
It's a bit tight, but because of the car they've got.
Well, they'll be one of the only ones on the street with a parking space.
They will,
Off-road.
definitely. Yeah, it wasn't until we started taking the structure down that we saw how much it was about to fall down if we didn't. But we weren't originally going to knock the whole building down. We were just trying to edit it, but as soon as we touched it, it was...
Yeah.
This is going to be looking down into the hallway. So you'll be stood
So
here
that's
with
a
a balustrade.
cutout.
That'll be cut out, and you'll be able to look down. Not sure if we're going to put a nice pendant there or something. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds lovely.
So you've got a nice link bridge in between.
Is that where you come in?
That's where you come in
Oh,
underneath
cool.
there, yeah. So you come in, walk up the stairs, and you're on your bridge. The benefit with this bedroom is we've got managed to get a lot more head height.
Head height, yeah.
And the shape and the skylights is trying to be a bit creative with how we do it. And we're thinking at the minute about doing overfloor heating for this first floor because it saves all your wall space, all the rest of it.
Yeah, and it's tight, they need it. I'm trying to figure out why we've got a steel wall plate and then 4 timber wall plates to make up the height. I suppose it's the pitch of the roof.
It's getting the match between what the conservation want, which is for it to go back the same shape, versus the modern structural detail that we have to do. Versus it's just where everything marries up, and it's sort of that's a result.
Well.
Obviously, you won't see it; it'll all just be plastered.
Yeah, of course.
This is the link building that links the two buildings. Obviously, that goes through into the new building that we've built. But the doorway to get in.
Can you say building one more time, please?
nice high vis. The door to get through into it is going to be hidden because you've got kitchen cabinets all the way straight through. So if you're in the kitchen, which is here, you're not gonna.
This is what David was showing us last time on his design.
Can you say that again?
So it's kitchen cabinets.
So there's kitchen cabinets that the face of them will be here all the way.
Yeah.
So when you're in the kitchen, like you don't see a door there, it's just all kitchen cabinets. Then you open your kitchen cabinet and you walk through.
One of the kitchen
Like
cabinets
like
is a
a-
secret door to the annex.
Okay, cool.
Like Narnia.
Like a hidden.
So there's been a change of the specification of the external doors at the back, and that has an interplay with the structural steel, and therefore because of the change of the doors there's a potential knock-on because the lead time on those nice crystal style doors can be up to like 12 weeks.
Yeah, it was great coming to site today because I've really seen the client's vision come into life. So I briefly met the clients earlier as well, and they were talking to me and telling me what it is they wanted.
And they're lovely.
Yeah,
There's some of
lovely
our best clients.
Yeah. And seeing the kind of two separate buildings that are joined together, and from the outside as well, you're not going to be able to tell, but when you come in, you can just see how big it is and how spacious it is.
It just opens and opens and opens.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that it's future-proofing as well, future-proofing the property.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also being on site, I've realised how tiny little things that could be an issue obviously are quite a big problem if they're not resolved straight away. And so because of the competent builders and obviously realising these problems straight away, there was things like with the door being
And the specification's been changed.
specification, yeah, so that could have pushed the project back 12 weeks,
Yeah.
but because we found a solution straight away, we're able to carry on all the internal work.
Yeah, by getting it weathertight with a proper
Yeah,
window
exactly.
former.
So
Yeah.
just being on site and seeing it all happen, it's just, you
It's a continual evolution and development of the specification as the build is happening, and that's what the design and build process is, and that's why projects like this are deliverable in 6 months rather than 2 years.
yeah.